Drag Race Italia Season 2 was a delightful little season that certainly grew from its mistakes of its first season, where there were a lot of strange judgment choices, a lot more contestant bullying, where people were told they looked like truck drivers in drag. Oh, that was evil. And a lot of strange camera cuts, as well as kind of wonky challenge concepts. But 2 really stepped up its game from where Season 1 left off. But even better were some of the looks of this season. So today I'm going to be sharing my top 10 favorite looks of this season. If you are just seeing me for the first time, my name is Jer. I talk about every season of Drag Race, including the internationals. We are going in chronological order for my Drag Race podcast that you can find here on YouTube or wherever you find podcasts. The links are below. There wasn't as much camp this season as what I normally like, but there was a lot of glam. Remember that if my favorite looks do not include one of your favorite looks, it doesn't mean I thought it was bad. It just wasn't in my top 10. So let's jump in. In the number 10 spot is Scandilove's plot twist look. Overall, this is a pretty simplistic look when you look at it in static image, but what's most impressive about it is the lights that are layered underneath whatever the sheer fabric is, because when she interacted with that battery, it lit up as if she was being electrocuted. There's something very interesting about the way that she moved her body to sell the story. And oftentimes your presentation on the runway can punch up an outfit in a more interesting way than what it was even designed to be. And I think overall conceptually, the design of this is pretty simple. It's a white garment with some fetish gear over the top of it, which I don't quite understand why that's there. Maybe it's meant to evoke restraints on a straitjacket, and it just doesn't translate that well. Why this person got out of their restraints to then electrocute themselves. There are questions that are asked, but I don't really need the answers to them. I think that the look overall is cool, and what I appreciate about it is the presentation of it first and foremost. I think if Skanda had been maybe doing drag consistently for at least a year before jumping on the show, maybe these looks would have been a little more refined that she brought to the show, but I think her presentation of them would still have been solid. In the number 9 spot, we have Nelenia's Dancing Queen look. I love the mix of textiles on this first off. It's really visually interesting that we've got this asymmetrical half dress with the giant skirt on it that's been lined in that hot cherry red, the t-shirt underneath, which normally can look a little strange in junior in drag, but works. I love the fishnet sleeves. I think that shoe choice is really cool. I love how graphic it is. It looks like a comic book that's about to go pow. And for something like music, incorporating such a strong visual artistry, I think is a cool perspective. But if you think about it, artists go ham on their visuals all the time for their albums. So why shouldn't a look that is trying to be emblematic of music also be graphic in its presentation? In the number 8 spot, we have La Petite Noir's Flowery Meadow look. What I appreciate about this again is the presentation. I think it sells the story a little better than what the standstill image does. I think you could still get what this is supposed to be by just looking at it. The way that these dandelion puffs have been constructed to hang off the side and be sort of free and loose, but also have a lot of structure on them, shows exactly what this is meant to be, which is a dandelion. Even her pose right here, looking like she's about to sneeze, tells you exactly what she is trying to do here on the runway. The boot is fascinating. Normally a bootie is kind of weird, but I think the way that this vine is coming up the leg is sort of an interesting way of presenting such a simple shoe. I would have liked some fishnets on this, but that's a moot point. The makeup choice of this tart turquoise is a little strange, I think, in comparison with everything else. But overall, I like the look, and it's very camp. I said there wasn't a lot of camp this season, and I don't know what I was talking about, because this is camp as hell. In the number 7 spot, we have Nelenia's makeover look. The theme of the makeovers was sports, which is kind of a strange prompt when you think about it, because I can't imagine there are too many drag queens that are actively participating in sports. So for Nelenia to choose something that is a little more elegant, I think was smart, because drag is elegant and it is dangerous in its presentation. Have you ever seen a drag queen do a death drop? They could break a hip. I love the body and shape of this, how much structure is built into this garment. This fabric with this brocade is beautiful in movement and in still. I love these strong style lines throughout the entire garment. You can see everything from top to bottom has attention to detail, and I can only imagine that up close this was even more visually interesting. And then to take a fun twist on it and put a mustache on it in this lavender color, brilliant color choice because lavender is also very soft, but it's a powerful color. Juxtapositioned with all the white, the soft tulle, and this structured fabric and those boots, it's all very smart. In the number 6 spot, we have La Diamond's Dancing Queen look. I love a callback to any artist, especially going towards Madonna, who really has been a queer advocate her entire career. And so I love paying homage to her. I love the structure of the cone bra and the peigne. I think the overall construction of this is really interesting. Overall, she looks stunning. Next up, we have Panthera Virus in the Italian art look. I still don't understand why this was in the bottom. I have a problem with nipples being exposed on the runway. It's just something I don't like. But I enjoy how absolutely club kid this is. The exposed panties, actually really interesting. The way that it goes up almost whale tail on the front. These strong visual lines, the way that everything has been cut out so meticulously and sewn back together. I love these boot covers. They remind me of a satyr. And I think overall this entire thing makes me think of something fantastical. I love the neck going into the cowl, the strong shoulder with the pad in it. The asymmetry of it all is visually stunning. Drag Race Italia seems to have a problem with being too revealing on the runway because if I remember right, Divinity was in the bottom week 1 of Italia 1. And I feel like this is a little revealing as well, so maybe they just don't respond to that type of drag and that type of fashion. I think there's a time and place for it, and in a design challenge where you are meant to show what you can do with materials provided and how you can brand yourself through that, I think Panthera did a good job doing that. And this blend of colors, this strong orange, the red and the white, the black, the gray, the color storyline of this all worked. In the number 4 spot, we have Panthera Virus once again for Flowery Meadow. What I appreciate about her aesthetic is how she blends sort of soft things like a flower and brings it to a hard place like fetish BDSM. The vinyl and the construction of these petals with that thick piping around the corners, it does something to my brain artistically that inspires me. I love the way that she's even captured the imagery of the way that the stem comes up around the petals in those sharp triangular lines and envelops the petals, going down into the boots, translating the thorns into that. And this is something you could easily reuse. Pair any other top with this particular bottom and you'd have a cool ass fetish look. You could really do anything in that. Very well done. In the number 3 spot, we have Nelenia's Flowery Meadow. I put this here mostly because of her presentation on the runway, where she said that she was a greenhouse that was yellowed by time and overtaken by orchids. This girlie was out here writing poetry for her runways. I love the moss ball that's on the hair. I think that is a fun little detail starting out at the top. Heading on down with the sheer fabric that you can see into it, it evokes a greenhouse. The structure of it all is really interesting. I love the way that the flowers are coming out of every single crack as if the glass of this greenhouse is broken in multiple places and the flowers are overtaking. They're spilling out everywhere and life is existing where it should not. I love the piping of this black. It's really graphic and interesting. I think Nelenia easily could have won this episode because of this outfit alone. In the number 2 spot, we have Aura Eternal's plot twist. This was so funny to watch on the runway because she has this flat cardboard with tape on it, I can only guess, and she's playing around with this TV, spits out some water, and just keeps miming to the television like, look, it's the TV, I came out of it. This is not a high fashion look at all, but it's so funny and I appreciate it because it's horror. And a lot of the girls in the Drag Race franchise are kind of afraid to explore into that realm. I think especially in the mainline seasons where Rue does not gravitate towards that at all. It's a very simple garment, but the story is present and I always gravitate towards a story. And for a look to be my favorite, even if it's not high fashion, if it is memorable, that's enough to make it into top 10 or even into top 2. And I will remember the craziness of this look. I appreciate too that she even went in on the makeup. A lot of girls I think are afraid to go hard on their makeup and they want to go soft and femme and pretty, where Aura just said, I'm a horror icon. I'm going to look horrific. This is camp at its highest level. I appreciate it. And then in the number 1 spot is La Diamond's drag horoscope look. La Diamond, I think, was one of the few successful characters on this runway to present not only her sign, but do it in a strong way. It was between her and Nalenia's look for number 1. And where Nalenia leaned in more on horror to sell her garment, which I respond very positively to, La Diamond leaned in further into glam. The construction of this is insane. This metallic fabric that has 1,000 gems on it, dripping in crystalline fringe. The Taurus headpiece is so cool. I respond well to the shapes of the shoulders. I appreciate that she went in something that is more knight-like in its presentation, holding on to this sword that looks like it's been cracked into a ton of pieces but is still being held together by sheer force of will. Even that has been rhinestoned to death. And when a drag queen is not afraid to use sparkle and glitter and diamonds and shine, I'm always happy with that. The mix of textiles is interesting too, because there's this diamond fabric that's underneath and then that quicksilver color that's right here on the bodice. The draping of that alone is interesting to me. And the shoes look Hove-like, which is also an important detail in this garment. Overall, I think La Diamond did the best in a lot of the categories, and I almost put her in a couple different spots because she had a great drag package for her runway presentations. I think this was the ultimate look of the entire season from her. And that has been my top 10 favorite looks from Drag Race Italia Season 2. If you want to check out my podcast, the links are also below. Let me know what some of your favorites were in the comments below, and I will see y'all on the flip.